lights come up on Cirque du Soleil, the music starts, and the mesmerizing choreography and soaring acrobatics that keep each audience member on the edge of their seats begins. Every sense is awakened as you are transported by imagination and creativity. For decades, as president and CEO of Cirque du Soleil, Daniel Lamarre had a front row seat on a day-to-day basis, learning from creators inside the company and the partners the company worked with. Creative geniuses like the Beatles and James Cameron, just to name a few.
The traditional business guy was, by definition, very traditional. So now I had to move in a creative world of Cirque du Soleil. And it pushed the boundaries of my own creativity. Just observing the creativity of those visionaries, of those geniuses, it really helped me to find in myself my own little creativity.
Working with George Harrison, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and Yoko Ono for the creative collaboration of the Beatles' Love Show was in itself a challenge.
That was a very tough negotiation because what people don't know is that each Beatles has a veto rights. So if Paul, Ringo, George at the time, or Yoko would said no, party was over. So we had to convince them one by one. And the most difficult thing was to establish the trust between the two creative forces. And they were really concerned because over all those years, they never let any other live entertainment company to work with their music. So we had to build the trust, and that's how we had finally succeed in getting their rights and their support.
Then came 2020. The Cirque team was anticipating another iconic collaboration with Walt Disney Animation Studios and Walt Disney Imagineering. The April 2020 opening in Disney Springs of Drawn to Life, a love letter to the art of Disney animation. Lamarre was excited for the opening and was also positioning himself for retirement as his 67th birthday approached. Then the world shut down.
It changes my life in few hours because first I was thinking of transitioning and giving my job to someone else, and life was good. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't leave the ship because the pandemic was causing the most important crisis in our history. And I had no choice. In 24 hours, we went from 44 shows to 0 shows, for $1 billion of revenue to no revenue. So I had to let go all our employees basically within hours, and then not knowing when we will be able to relaunch the organization. So that was by far the toughest challenge in my life.
With all the shows closed, Lamarre and his staff had to return all of their employees stationed around the world safely back to 39 different home countries. An easy task compared to what was next. To have any hope of surviving, Cirque would have to file for bankruptcy protection and restructure the company. Enmeshed in legal logistics, Lamarre kept his focus on preserving what he had come to value as the essence of Cirque du Soleil, returning the people and their artistic expression to stages around the world.
I was trying to get rid of my doubts every day to say, no. We're going to come back. And I was visualizing that like a sports person will do. I was visualizing me in a seat watching one of our shows. And I was saying to myself, that's what I need to do, not only for me, but for those thousands of employees that want to come back on stage.
Yeah, so you said giving up was not an option, right?
No, that was not an option.
Yeah.
And I was fighting that idea, for 15 months until I finally could pick up the phone and say to everybody, we're back, get ready.
In the end, the company's creditors rejected the proposed settlement because they wanted to buy the company themselves. By November 2020, a new ownership group was in place, allowing Lamarre and staff to provide payments to laid-off employees and freelancers and begin to stage a comeback. In November of 2021, Drawn to Life opened at Disney Springs. Lamarre's vision was fulfilled, and he handed over the reins of the company to the Chief Operations Officer, staying on as Executive Vice Chairman of the board and committed even more to the importance of creativity in one's life.
On a day-to-day basis, if you spend time to think about what you want to achieve in life, then your creativity will spark. And then it will have a huge impact on the way you do things. It doesn't mean that it will change your life overnight, but it will fulfill much more happiness because you will then be more creative. And what will happen then? Then you will create something new that the world was waiting for.